Have you ever been in a meeting where someone suggested an idea that you knew wouldn't work, but you stayed quiet because you didn't want to sound negative or create conflict? Hi, I'm Thomas. And good meetings need healthy disagreement. When everybody just nods and agrees, bad ideas move forward and problems stay hidden. Today, we're going to look at how to agree and disagree politely in meetings so you can contribute to better decisions without damaging relationships. You'll learn when to support ideas, how to build on them, and how to push back diplomatically when you need to. Let's get into it. Some people think staying quiet and agreeing with everything is safer, but silent agreement can actually hurt you and your team. Here's why speaking up matters. When people respectfully challenge ideas, the team finds better solutions and makes better decisions. Engaging honestly and disagreeing with respect actually builds relationships and helps people trust you more. And if everyone agrees all the time, important issues stay hidden. If everybody just says yes, problems will only appear later when they're harder to fix. So remember, it's not always about agreeing, it's about contributing to the best possible decision. When you agree with somebody, don't just say yes or I agree. Be specific. These professional phrases are great ways to show support. I completely agree with their point about shows you are listening and you're supporting a specific part of somebody's idea. Something like, I completely agree with Sarah's point about targeting the Q2 launch. We can say, that's exactly right, and to affirm somebody's idea and potentially add to it. Yes, I think that approach makes sense because adding because shows you've thought it through and you aren't just automatically agreeing with somebody. They're right. We should. This publicly supports your colleague and reinforces their credibility. It's a good way to make people like you. And always be specific about what you're agreeing with. Generic agreement, yeah, that sounds good. It doesn't really add too much value to the conversation. Specific agreements, on the other hand, show that you're engaged. The best way to contribute is to build on what other people have said. And these phrases really help with that. I agree. And I'd add that support somebody's idea while extending it. We can say, that's a great point, building on that idea. And this validates the idea before you add your own perspective. Yes. And another consideration is shows you see angles they might not have mentioned, but do agree with what they initially said. Look at this example. I agree. We should launch in Q2. And I'd add that we need marketing support ready by Q1. See how this works? We're supporting the idea while making it stronger. And this makes us a valuable contributor, not just somebody who says yes all the time and sits in the corner. Sometimes we have to disagree with people too. Using this three-step formula can really ease tension in any disagreement. The first thing you want to do is acknowledge or show that you heard the person. I see your point. I understand the reasoning. This shows respect and that you actually listened to what the person said. Then we want to use a softening phrase to create a bridge. Something like, however, my concern is, or another angle is. This transitions from agreement to our different perspective. And then we can give our perspective or the alternative. And start with a phrase like, what if we considered, or I'm concerned about, can really make it easier for the other person to accept that you disagree with them. Don't just say what's wrong, offer an alternative or explain your concern. So here's the flow. I see your point. However, what if we considered, it's a really good formula, and it lets you disagree while maintaining respect for the other person and keeping the conversation productive. So we're in a meeting and a colleague suggests launching the product next month. Somebody answers, no, that won't work. That's a terrible idea. We're not ready. And anyone who thinks we are isn't paying attention. Whoa, that really doesn't work. Why? Well, the first problem is that they're immediately negative. No, that won't work. That shuts down the conversation right away. Then they attack people. Anyone who thinks we are isn't paying attention. That's insulting. It doesn't offer any kind of alternative. They're just criticizing without helping at all. And this makes people defensive. Whoever they're talking to feels attacked now, and they'll defend their idea instead of listening to these concerns. This approach really damages relationships and makes people not want to work with you. Now, let's look at a little bit more respectful version. So here's the same scenario, a colleague suggesting launching the product next month, but with a much better way to disagree. I understand the urgency to launch quickly. However, I'm concerned we haven't completed user testing yet. What if we pushed it to early next month? That would give us 2 more weeks for testing. You see why this works so well? It acknowledges the person's way of thinking by saying, I understand your urgency. This shows the person understands why they suggested it. I'm concerned we haven't completed user testing explains the specific worry without attacking any specific person. And what if we pushed it to early next month? That provides a solution. It's not just criticism. Ending with a question is perfect because it keeps the conversation open and invites discussion. Can you see how much of a difference this makes? We've disagreed clearly, but kept the relationship intact and moved the discussion forward. Now, let's look at some phrases we can use to disagree diplomatically. First, let's look at how to acknowledge that we listen to and understand what the person said. I see your point. However, shows you listen before disagreeing. That's one way to look at it. Validates their perspective before offering another. I understand that perspective. Shows respect for their reasoning. And you make a good point. Affirms them before bridging to another subject. Then we can offer our view. I'm concerned that it explains our worry without attacking. Another angle to consider is gives a different perspective. My experience suggests bases a disagreement in what we've personally seen. And have we thought about is a question and keeps it collaborative. These phrases let you disagree while staying respectful and professional. This is a tricky one. When your boss suggests something problematic, you can't just say that won't work. These diplomatic approaches are much more appropriate. I want to make sure we've considered frames it as being thorough, not as a disagreement. Could we explore the potential risks of asking about risks is safer than declaring problems? What if we tested this approach with is great because suggesting a test shows you're being cautious, not negative. And I see the logic. My concern is how do we address that? This acknowledges their thinking, states your concern, and even asks for their help in solving it. Ask questions, don't make statements. Instead of saying, this has three problems, try asking, how do we handle X, Y, and Z? Questions are less threatening to authority and leave people with a better impression of you. Let's review. Firstly, agree specifically. Don't just say, I agree. Say what you agree with and why. Try to add value by adding on new ideas. And use the three-step formula for acknowledging their reasoning, bridging with a softening phrase, and offering your alternative or a concern. And remember that when disagreeing with your boss, ask questions instead of making statements. Frame concerns as wanting to be thorough. The more you use these techniques, the more natural they become. Next time you're in a meeting and need to agree or disagree with somebody, use these techniques and let us know how it works in the comments. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more business English lessons. New videos every Wednesday. In the next lesson, we'll look at handling meetings and speaking under pressure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.